The following video is a part of my learning on the path of becoming more about self-love and healing my childhood wounds. I have learned how to heal the different parts of me that react from a triggered point of view and make me less defensive, make me more proud of who I am and loving myself in a nurturing way. And I'm sharing these lessons with each of you with the idea that hopefully it'll help you in your relationships and help you to feel better about yourself and to see more success and more health in your future. Blessings to you all. So we are on episode number 3 of the emotional spiral and how it connects to our symptoms, the symptoms that we have of our wounds and our toxicity. And we've talked about the different levels. Obviously, the line, this gray area is pretty much in our emotional body. It's right here at the heart. And everything below is our places, the areas where we learn. These emotionals down below are there to teach us. These emotions down below are there to teach us. I'm doing a quick review. And the ones above are part of our ascension. So these emotions above are symptoms of our way of knowing where we're going, how we're getting there. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about, this is lesson number 3, as you can see. And what I wanted to talk about in this is the balance, the alchemy. Everybody hears the word alchemy, but they don't necessarily always understand what is that about us? How do we alchemize? One of my skills that I'm learning is because of what I've been through, I've learned a lot about alchemy. I've learned how to bring things into balance, and it just happened naturally. But in retrospect, looking back, I'm learning how it actually happened in my life. And so in order to find peace, alchemy is our way towards peace. Alchemy is our way towards a better, more healed body, emotional body. And alchemy is the way that we get to where we balance out the karma. So by balancing out our alchemy in the life lessons that we've had, we're able to balance out the karma and heal. It's where we get to a point of understanding what the lesson is, and then forgiving ourselves and forgiving all others in our lives. And by forgiving ourselves and all others in our lives, and then as we step forward, we leave the karma behind. We heal the karma. So for those of us who have done a lot of toxic behavior, we've had a lot of trauma in our childhood and our life, and we have not dealt with the past. We have not dealt with that. We have wounds, and those wounds, in order for us to ascend and to be able to live in these higher frequencies, and in the integrity, right? The authentic us. So and this is what I want to speak about in this, is that we have to be able to balance each side, the emotional side with the integrity, our authentic self. And you'll find that it's easier when we heal all of these wounds. It's easier for us to be authentic. We'll find that it's easier. And so this is going to be a quick lesson about balance and alchemy. It's keeping in mind that when we're talking about this emotional spiral, these sides, both sides, have to kind of remain in balance. They have to remain in balance. And that actually is really more important, very important, as you go higher. The higher your frequency, the more you need to be able to keep your integrity in balance with your frequency. Now, why is that important? Because many of us do, we can be in a wounded state. Many of us do. We live in a wounded state, and we're able to actually manipulate the field. We're actually becoming narcissistic when we actually pretend to be happy. We're pretending to be happy. And so we can have these frequencies, and they actually they'll become part of our reality. They'll be a part of our reality, and we can feel these emotions because our body doesn't know any different. If we think of things that we're blissful about, we can create the idea of bliss. And that's a lot of ways. That's a way how some substances can actually create frequencies of bliss and harmony, right? There's different substances that we know about that can create the feelings of bliss and harmony. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we're healed, because we use the substances in order to hide the wounds, to hide the pain within, to hide the anger and the frustration. And at times of kind of recovery. A lot of times the next day after something bad happens, we will feel these more negative emotions, including the anger, etc., that comes out of us because the substance we were using didn't really heal the wounds. We have to literally go in and we have to balance every wound that has happened. The more we do that, the more we find a wound, use that emotion, whether it's anger, whatever the emotion is we feel, the hate, the resentment, right? The jealousy. These are the emotions that are there to tell us that there's a wound. Okay, so we follow that wound. We're jealous. Why am I jealous? Who am I jealous of? Why am I jealous? What is it about that? Well, maybe I wish I was more like them, or I wish I had their life. There's a lot of things that we can be jealous of. It could be a relationship that we see over there. It could be they're living a better life, or a life that we wish we had, or they have a job that we wish we had, and we don't know how to get there, so we're jealous. Instead of taking the steps to become better, to achieve more, learning how to do it, learning how to become that person that you admire, maybe. Because a lot of times jealousy kind of comes from a little bit of admiration. You wouldn't be jealous of someone you didn't admire, right? So, but this all has to be brought into balance. And so when you have these wounds and you have these symptoms and the emotions that they cause, these symptoms are what is the indication that there's some work to be done down here. And so what I wanted to speak about in this episode is about how to balance and alchemize that. You got to find the wound when you have anger, and who it's after, who it's at, what it's at, where your focus is when you feel angry. Then you need to explore that, introspect. What's my part? What's their part? Should I apply more compassion to what happened? Should I apply more compassion about them? Am I not being compassionate towards this person? Or am I plenty compassionate, empathetic towards this person, and yet I feel this way? Then maybe you feel like you're wronged. So if you feel that you're wronged by this person, it may be a need for a boundary. What you need to do is you need to create a resolve to the point of being able to recognize the lesson that you learned. And once you recognize that lesson, then you can forgive, right? Once you learn a lesson, you feel the benefit to you. You bring the benefit to you in that you learn something. What do I learn? I learn I need a boundary because I don't want to live around this type of frequency. I don't want to be around someone who does this to me. I don't want to be around somebody who treats me this way. That's if it's something where you decide you need a boundary. So you create the boundary not just for you, but for them. They need to realize that they can't treat you this way, correct? So the boundary is not just for you. It basically says, I'm not going to tolerate this. Why? Because I'm learning to love myself. I'm learning to nurture myself. And the more nurtured, self-loving person will not tolerate this behavior, you see? So this causes you to evolve. And it causes you to raise all of these frequencies start to raise as you start to alchemize the wounding and the episodes of all the different toxic behavior from your past. So as you go through, you introspect. Because of emotion, you introspect. And then you search for what part of you, your child, whatever, is wounded and why. Why did it trigger you? Why does it make you angry? And introspect about it. And then recognize what you're supposed to learn from that symptom, the symptom of these anger, doubt, depression, these things. A lot of these are interconnected, right? A lot of these are interconnected. But also you have to recognize that you can have somebody in your midst, or you can be narcissistic, and you could put on these behaviors. You could put on all of this joy, bliss, everything's perfect in my life, and yet you go home and you suffer from depression. You're angry and jealous about the people in your world. So that may mean as you cross across here, these are actually put on. They're not real. You can create this type of scenario in your mind and believe that this is going on, especially if you're using a lot of substance. So using a lot of substance in your life to hide all this wounding here. I'm getting better, but it still suffers. So that's what I wanted to talk about. So what you need to do is you need to bring up your integrity. You need to grow all of these as that helps you. Being in integrity and authenticity makes these more real and less narcissistic. These emotions over here, the playful, all this sort of stuff. You can put all this on, right? That would be a narcissist who put all these on. Their life is perfect. They got a perfect life. They have the most wonderful life, and yet they're always angry, always depressed, always worried, always very active in their mind. All their type of negative thinking, all the overthinking, that's these type of emotions. And yet they, in their life, they pretend to be perfect. Everything's perfect. Life is perfect, right? So there's no integrity. There's no abundance. There's no wisdom, combined with all these great emotions. So that's a narcissistic person that doesn't necessarily have the integrity or the authenticity, but they have the emotions that they're projecting. It's a projection. They're projecting that their life is perfect. They're projecting that their life is abundant. They may even drive very nice. May have an abundant life. They may drive nice cars, live in a nice house, dress in the finest clothes, but they're also depressed, worried, suffering, negative, terrible self-talk. They hate themselves. So they hate themselves, but they live in this type of projected emotion of all these things on this side. Everything over here is a put on. This is a fake. This is a mask. This is a shapeshifter over here, shapeshifter that lives in these type of frequencies and has convinced their body to feel that way. But they have this when no one's watching. They have these symptoms when no one's watching. I wish I could figure that out. Anyway. Okay, so that's enough. Blessings to you all. I hope it helps.